startups. She has worked on Fortune 500 companies in finance, Bank of America, Citigroup. She had worked also in Oracle, Philip Morris International, and in the hospitality sector with Marriott International. She also now she shifted her focus to working with startups and expansions to have a mission of sustainability and innovation. Now she works in Orbify, which is a company that Reforestamos Mexico has started to work with, and she's going to present to us the role of geospatial data in the fight against greenwashing, which is a topic very interesting and very important for us advocates of sustainability, advocates of green entrepreneurship, and we're very excited to have you here, Olya. Thank you very much. I think that you could do your introduction better than me, and yeah, please take your time, and the forum is all yours. We have now one.
Mi español es muy limitado.
No te preocupes, Olya. There's an AI that is working the live translation, so people is going to be able to listen to your presentation in Spanish.
Sure, no worries. Okay, I think I'm ready to share my screen and start.
Yes, give me a second. Lupita, ¿puedes dar la opción para que Olya comparta la pantalla?
Ya está habilitada.
Thank you. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can, Olya. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. So the role of geospatial data in the fight against greenwashing. First of all, thank you for joining my presentation today. I'm very honored to be joining the forum organized by our partners at Reforestamos, and we'll be delving in a topic that is of utmost relevance in our era of environmental consciousness. Basically, how satellite data can help diminish the greenwashing that's been on the rise lately. This presentation aims to shed the light on the pivotal role that satellite data plays in confronting one of the most pressing challenges of our time, which is the deceptive practice of greenwashing. Second, yeah, it's working. So we can start off with basically a very simple definition of greenwashing. As we're all aware, it refers to the misleading portrayal of environmentally friendly practices by companies and industries, often to boost their public image while lacking sustainable actions. The consequences of greenwashing are far-reaching, as they can undermine genuine efforts towards sustainability, a role for addressing global environmental issues. In this context, the utilization of satellite data emerges as a game-changing tool in our arsenal against greenwashing. It empowers us with a unique vantage point, one that transcends borders and provides an objective view of the Earth's conditions and changes over time. By harnessing this technology, we can discern the actual environmental impact of various activities and initiatives beyond mere surface-level claims. But it does not necessarily only refer to commercial businesses, commercial organizations and businesses. We can also see it on governmental and even intergovernmental level. Let's look at a couple of examples. For example, allow me to share this example from the COVID-19 lockdown. We know that during the lockdown, satellite observations revealed a remarkable decline in air pollution levels over major cities. Like here, for example, we're looking at major cities in India. We can see that nitrogen dioxide concentrations dropped by nearly 50% in certain areas due to reduced industrial activities and vehicular traffic. This tangible data not only showcases the immediate impact of reduced human activity on air quality, but also highlighted the potential of change when it comes to concentrated efforts that could be made. Similarly, in the case of deforestation, and specifically in the Amazonian forest, we know that the real scale of deforestation sometimes is diminished. So when we look at it from the satellites, it enables us to monitor deforestation patterns with the very accuracy. This capability not only aids in tracking the gravity of the issue to the global. Last but not least, complaints related to deceptive environmental marketing. As we navigate through this presentation, we'll delve into the mechanisms through which satellite data can expose greenwashing and sustainable claims substantiate claims of sustainability, and ultimately foster a more transparent and accountable approach to environmental stewardship. Let's start with the topic that I think might be of the most interest to most of you in the audience: the forest. So, what can the satellite data reveal when it comes to the forest and greenwashing related to that? For example, real deforestation rate. Here on the screen, you see two different graphs that we have pulled when it comes to reviewing a project from a Vera registry. So this is a conservation project that is ongoing in one of the states of Brazil. It's called the Purus project. We have basically compared the baseline measurements that were provided by the project developer versus the same baseline that was assessed by the Hansen dataset, which is a global dataset that covers the deforestation rates based on the forest cover. And we have also looked at the actual deforestation that has been happening recently. This project has been ongoing for the last few years, but we can see that even in the past year, the deforestation is still happening, which might obviously signal that the project is not actually doing what it's supposed to do. I'm not making any claims about the project. You can make your conclusions yourself. If you would like, you can also review or take a look at the full review on our website. It has a lot more data than what you're seeing on the screen. But the fact of the matter is, by doing independent reviews of forest conservation or afforestation projects, we can actually see big discrepancies that were presented by the project developers to their own advantage. I'm sure you have all heard about the Vera scandals, where the Vera scandal, where the project developers were choosing reference areas to highlight, to basically over-portray the deforestation that was happening, and then choose the areas that actually basically didn't have a lot of danger of deforestation and chose to protect them, meaning they wouldn't have to actually invest a lot of efforts in doing so because the area was never in danger in the first place. If we look at another example, we here have the land use changes that influence deforestation in the first place. So for this example, I've used a report that we have produced to basically illustrate the recent regulation that came out in the European Union called EUDR, which stands for European Union Deforestation Regulation, which stipulates that 6 commodities that are exported or imported into the European market, either as a raw material or as subproducts of those commodities, need to prove that they did not cut down any forest for the expansion of their plantations after the end of 2021. And those commodities are something that is obviously also growing in Mexico. So we're talking here about cocoa beans, coffee, soybeans, palm oil, beef, and the wood itself. So it is actually one of the most prominent regulations that is going to bring a lot more accountability for either the producers or the traders of those commodities, which will force them to stop illegal logging that is done for the sake of the expansion of the plantation. So they will actually have to employ some sustainable practices versus cutting down the forest and getting away with it, which, for example, this is actually an example from Brazil. Again, we know that Brazil is facing a lot of problems that are connected to deforestation, with one of them actually being the problem with understanding of the land ownership. So it's very hard to actually get down to the bottom of who owns the land. And a lot of the producers of those commodities basically utilizing it to their advantage by saying, well, this is actually not a protected area, so we're going to cut it down to expand our plantations. And last but not least, when it comes to the sustainability claims associated with the forest is, sorry, this is not the last one, it's one but last. It's fact checking on the above ground biomass. Above ground biomass, I'm sure you all know, it's something that is being used to actually estimate the carbon storage of the forest. And on the screen, you're seeing another Vera project, Manoa Red Plus project that is, again, located in Brazil. Well, we might be fans of Brazil, and actually, we would love to see more projects from Mexico. So if anybody in the audience has either RED or ARR, so basically conservation or forestation projects that you would like us to review as well, please get in touch, and we'll be happy to provide you with some of the data, which, by the way, happens almost like this. Our platform is built with AI, so we're able to derive all these insights within several seconds based on the combination of different data sets and various machine learning models. But that is to say that we take into consideration various data points that would contribute to high accuracy estimation of above ground biomass. So we're not only talking about forest, non-forest cover, we're talking about forest cover density, we're talking about median canopy height, we're talking about, in some rare cases, because it's very tough, tree species detection, because we know that different trees have different capacity for carbon storage. And we're even talking about very isolated cases of primary versus secondary forest detection, which again can influence the carbon storage capacity in various forests. Our technology is trained on various different geographies. Obviously, I'm using example from Brazil, so you can imagine we have a lot of data measurements, ground data measurements from Brazil. So the algorithm very much calibrate for that. We have a lot of projects in Central and Southeast Asia. Would love to have more projects in Central and South America. So again, if anybody is interested, please come forward. And the last but not least, when it comes to the forest, is actually estimation of risks that are being posed to them. So if we're talking about conservation projects, most of the times the developers are simply taking into consideration the anthropogenic risks. So we're talking about obviously agricultural expansion, urban sprawls, and anything else associated with the human activity. But a lot of times they're overlooking natural hazards. So we're talking about drought, we're talking about wildfires, we're talking about landslides, everything that can actually influence the forest intactness that is very frequently being overlooked when it comes to those projects. So they're profiting from taking the carbon credits, but then half the forest is being taken out by wildfire that they did not envision in their predictions. And then the last one is actually vegetation health, which is something that is being actively used by sustainable forestry management partners that we have. It's basically understanding of how the vegetation stress index is comparing to the baseline measurements that they have seen over other years, and understanding if the forest is being stressed, quote unquote, so whether needs to be some more attention to be paid to certain patches in the forest. And with that, that was basically what I had to say about the forest. I still have a couple of few examples when it comes to greenwashing that can be debunked with the satellites. So Another example is monitoring of air and water pollution or air and water quality. And with that, we're looking at the satellites that have hyperspectral sensors. Say a good example of it would be European Space Agency Sentinel 5P that scrutinizes atmospheric pollutants such as nitrogen dioxide and ozone. Satellite imagery also dismantles greenwashing by bridging the chasm between rhetorical and data on air and water quality. On the screen, you can see the examples from couple of other products that we have. So one of them is the assessment of air quality and the air constitution in the metropolitan area of Marseille. And another one is spill alert, which is basically identifying oil spills and black tank discharges in their near coastal areas in Croatia. And last but not least is what satellite data can do when it comes to renewable energy claims and sustainable supply chain. So two examples here are basically third-party examples. One of them is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory that employs satellite data to gauge solar potential, fortifying or discrediting claims of sustainable energy reliance. And last but not least is when it comes back to the water, it's initiatives like Global Fishing Watch that harnesses satellite data to uncover the provenance of seafood products, lifting the veil on greenwashing, on greenwash sourcing. Well, that was a lot of information. And the last question that I have for you guys is, how are you going to use that data to help foster the sustainability efforts that you're carrying out? Thank you so much for your attention. I would be happy if you connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to take all the questions. And like I said, if you want to check out any of the data that I present today on our website, it's simply orbify.com.
Olya, thank you very much for this amazing presentation. I think that most of we advocates of the environment are kind of confused on how we use information and how we can set up that information to be aligned with the indicators that they're not being used for greenwashing. And well, we have some questions here in the audience.
Sure.
Hector is asking, how can we use the software to check the information of one geographic zone?
So it just really depends on what you mean by the geographic zone. So we have several definitions of that. So it could be either just the strictly project area. So if we're talking about sustainable forestry, conservation or forestation project, it could be strictly the project area. Then we have the leakage area, which could be automatically applied to it. And then even the whole provenance area that could be analyzed to see what's happening in the area linked to deforestation. So if we're strictly talking about deforestation. But it could be like, it's easily defined. It's either dropping a shapefile into the platform or even drawing a polygon by yourself. So it's really, it's very flexible.
All right. So if people want to get in touch with the software, they should check orbify.com, right? That's like the...
Yep. So you can go to orbify.com and there is a button that says book a demo, and it will automatically pull up a calendar where you can choose the time that works for you. And we have multiple team members that would be able to do a personalized demo.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Olya. We have another question here from Ricardo Garcia. It says, there are several non-governmental organizations that offer to certify mitigation projects. How to verify these reports independently?
When what does it specifically mean, mitigation projects?
Well, I think that maybe he's referring to well, from reforestation to conservation, or even restoration of ecosystems. I think that's
so. I think it's the matter of using different data sets. So for the example that I showed earlier, Hansen, which is the peer-reviewed data set that is pretty accurate, that provides the yearly deforestation data. So already that could be used to verify, I guess, the certification that was given to the project, so whether or not it complies with that data set. But then on top of that, there are a lot of commercial providers that can give data that has a lot higher temporal resolution. So it could be almost like the revisit times are almost daily. So if there is anything, for example, we're talking about project validation and we want to know that project is actually doing, what it's claiming to do, then it could be checked like this. So say if it's a tree growth initiative, that could also be checked by the satellites. Hopefully that was the right answer.
He was meaning, he was referring to carbon bonos de carbono. How do you say that?
Carbon credits.
Carbon credits specifically, yes.
Okay, yeah. So I would say, as also I mentioned earlier, so it mostly relies on the analysis of the project area itself, then the leakage area and the reference area. So cross-checking whether that was the data that was presented about those areas is correct using the satellites. And then for us, the biggest, I think, hit was the whole above ground biomass estimation that is supposed to confirm or deny whether the carbon stock that they have estimated and the carbon credits that they sold based on that stock is correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, Olya, so thank you very much for your participation in the Forest and Technology Forum. We're very glad to meet you, to meet Orbify, to be starting to work with you guys. We're very excited to be associates in this new adventure of conservation, of stopping greenwashing. And well, we're very glad to have you here on the forum, and thank you very much for your participation and your presentation.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego, Gabriel. Sorry, my 3-year-old daughter was trying to storm in.
It's all right. Thank you very much, Olya. Let's stay in touch. And a reminder for everyone that is watching us, just go to orbify.com, and there you can find all the information that the company is providing. And well, thank you very much, Olya. See you soon.